In the last 3 years, I've walked 16 million steps. In the fitness world, trends come and go. We've seen the rise of Orange Theory, CrossFit, Pilates, F45, bodybuilding, and now running, all with their own dedicated followings. But there has been one form of exercise that has stood the test of time and will always outlast all these trends. You may have heard of it before. It's called walking. It literally is as simple as standing up, moving your legs in a forward motion, maybe get some arm swing if you don't want to look awkward, and there you have it. And it is life-changing. Despite its simplicity, many of us don't walk as much as we should. And that is a pretty stark contrast to our often more active ancestors. And modern lifestyles contribute significantly to this decline. In the USA, for example, there's no walkable cities, well, I guess very few of them. They're car-centric communities, sedentary jobs, and just evenings spent on the couch, that leads to overall inactivity. I can talk at length about the suburb problem, which is most places of living are just not walkable at all. But even in cities, we still drive to work, we sit in front of a computer, we waste our evenings on the couch, just making us inactive altogether. And research shows that physical inactivity isn't just about not exercising, it's about not being active throughout the entire day altogether. So this inactivity is going to correlate with the rise of chronic diseases like diabetes, cancer, heart disease, none of the things that you want. So to counter this, I've made walking a priority, amassing over 16 million steps in 3 years while navigating a busy career in medical school, and here's how walking changed my life. And that comes out to about 13 or 14,000 steps a day, if my math is right. Can't do that in my head. So we've all heard the recommendation of 10,000 steps a day, but this number isn't really scientifically grounded. It just sounds good. 10,000 is a nice round number. And there really isn't a source anywhere for this. There is no data that says 10,000 is the number. Some studies actually indicate longevity benefits of walking, and they taper off after 8,000 steps per day. So this means up to 8,000 steps per day, you will have benefits in longevity and life quality, but after 8,000, it doesn't really matter. So I still aim for 10,000 just for that added challenge, a little bit extra calorie burn, things that I'll get to for this video. I'm not one to settle, so striving for those extra steps keep me motivated. So time is limited, so the habits we integrate in our daily routines are pretty crucial overall. So most people don't actively choose their habits, this leads to lives that they didn't really intentionally design. So habits, both physical and mental, kind of shape our future and our reality. So for example, endlessly scrolling on your phone shortens your attention span, hinders focus on meaningful activities like building a business, going to the gym, studying for your test, or even just staying engaged in conversations with your friends and family. So this is an example where our minds become programmed by our environment. Your mind may be filled with memes, the latest TikTok dance, the political news designed to make you feel angry. And truth is, your mind just becomes scattered with things that don't really matter. So to solve your problems, you have to reclaim your focus and establish pretty impactful habits overall. Your habits are going to create your life. So walking overall is a pretty high leverage habit. It's going to improve your health, your wealth, your happiness, and there's multiple different ways you can look at this from. First is walking as like a meditation or just like a mental practice. So to be completely transparent, I've always been skeptical of meditation. There's no way I was going to sit down and think about nothing like a bunch of hippies for a while. But then I realized meditation is about freeing your mind and just being present, being in the moment. It really is just about reducing your attachment to your thoughts, and walking can serve as a form of moving meditation, just kind of clearing your mind, reducing stress. And the truth is, most of us create problems with our minds, and we just kind of create our own suffering. Kind of very Buddhist philosophy there, but I think it applies to all aspects of life, even though I'm not Buddhist. Walking taught me the value of being present, just letting go of past stresses and future worries. So I think it's a pretty helpful practice overall. And there actually is some benefit of just lateral eye movements of scanning your environment can be very helpful for stress and depression as well. Of course, we also have walking for health. So obviously walking is going to increase calorie expenditure and is a pretty sustainable habit for weight loss altogether. It's going to give you some sunlight. It's going to reduce your exposure to, considerably harmful blue light, skeptical on that, and just improve your overall health. Dr. Andrew Huberman recommends morning sunlight exposure. I found this pretty helpful for just my circadian rhythm and just benefits my physical and mental well-being. On top of that, you could use walking for creativity. I like to listen to audiobooks. I like to read, jot random ideas, solve problems. And this kind of helps me relieve stress by making it more of like a productive walk. And for me, it's a crucial part of my writing and creative process, both scripting content, thinking of ideas, making programs. A lot of my best ideas and problem-solving moments happen during my walks and in the shower. This isn't a showering video though. So how do we get to walking? As I mentioned, a lot of people live in suburbs or rural areas and working desk jobs, and that can make it pretty hard to stay active. But there is a thing called like incidental exercise, which is just small bursts of activity throughout the day. And these things can definitely help. It's small decisions like taking the stairs, walking instead of driving, parking further away from the grocery store entrance. All these things add up. You could track your steps with a health app, a smartwatch, or a smart ring, and that can help you stay on track as well. And sometimes it'll be nice just to have that number to keep you accountable. And I get it, sometimes these little trackers are pretty inaccurate, especially on the calorie burn side of things. Let me know if you want a video on that. And sometimes, if you shake someone's hand, this will count as a step, unfortunately in my app, but still it's eye-opening to realize how easy it can be to be sedentary, especially if it's like a lazy Sunday and you're not taking many steps to begin with. With walking, it's important to have a plan, especially if you have like a target amount of steps. You don't want it to be 9 p.m. before bed and you realize you have 1,000 steps to do, or else you'll ruin your like 45-day streak or something like that. So I personally have had some breakthroughs on getting some extra activity in. So you can integrate walking into your routine by, 1, walking during work. I often set walks where I take routine meetings or phone calls, just kind of walk through it, especially for ones where I don't need my computer. Sometimes I set a walk where I only reply to coaching client messages for the walk. Getting some sunshine, doing it outside is better than just sitting inside my desk at home, especially if it's like a beautiful sunny city. You could also go for coffee walks with your friends and family, talk to people during walks. Sometimes I'll walk with my wife, Abby. We plan our day. I catch up and call my parents. This makes the experience more enjoyable and also more productive as well. Using walks to brainstorm or work on projects, I already mentioned this, but sometimes I will set goals where I literally cannot finish my walk until I've thought of 5 new content ideas, generated 3 scripts, or even written like several tweets. Or you can get a dog, a big one, 2 of them. Big dogs love the outdoors. I have one of them at my foot right now. The existential crisis of realizing I'm the only person that my dogs have to introduce them to new experiences and scents springs me into motion. So lately, as I've made walking a more ingrained habit, I started slowing down and actually enjoying my walks a little bit more, particularly listening to more like podcasts and audiobooks, listening to the ambient noise, or even just like exploring a new hiking trail. This shift kind of led to a little bit more exercise, more calories burned, and I think just better overall health as well. So lately on average, I've been hitting around 13,000 steps per day, especially in the summertime. As a result, my weight has steadily dropped a few pounds. I feel healthier and more energetic. Hopefully you could see it in my face a little bit compared to videos a few months ago. And honestly, today's been one of the easiest days yet. I got pretty close to 10,000 steps effortlessly just doing, household chores like vacuuming and things of that nature. Natural movement like chores, errands, even pacing around during gym sessions can add up pretty quickly. But still, there are some days that are challenging. Sometimes I will have to have a walk after dinner to meet my step goals. So I've managed to turn walking into an enjoyable habit by just kind of making it a game. Dan Coe talks about this. Sometimes the addictive elements of games, having clear goals, immediate feedback, focused attention, and skill appropriate challenges can be applied to walking to create more of like a flow state of clarity and progress. So to make this like a game-like experience, clarify your walking purpose. It's important to align walking with your ideal lifestyle. Take time to think about how walking can actually help you. Could help you quit a bad habit, boost your creativity, improve physical health, well-being. Why are you walking? I think it's important with anything that you do to kind of clarify your purpose. So I think sometimes writing a list out about why something will be helpful for you will be better before kind of diving into it. And like I said, break down your goals. So I think conscious goal setting is going to be crucial. Conscious goal setting is going to kind of shape your habits. And obviously, if you have your habits, you can kind of control your life from there. So I recommend starting with a pretty attainable step goal. If you're hitting 2,000 steps a day, don't make the goal 10K, make it more like 6 or 7, something that's actually reasonable for you. And then from there, break up that larger goal into smaller manageable sub goals. Are you going to do multiple short walks? Are you going to do one long walk and a few short ones? What time are you going to do it? Have a little bit of a schedule for yourself and make your routine, just because that kind of builds up some momentum for you, and then you can grow from that. Like I mentioned earlier, create walking rules. Like, what is the purpose of this walk? Are you going to create content? Are you going to call your mom? Are you going to do things like that? Are you going to get a few ideas from audiobooks? Just get in the sun, try to get a tan, whatever it might be. Clarify that as well. On top of that, you could have some triggers as well. So some people are trying to quit a bad habit, whether it is alcohol, it is vaping, whatever it might be. Sometimes you could use that trigger to initiate walks. If you don't have a specific trigger, just try to break down those walks into small, low friction actions. Even if it is just standing up, walking to your, the street in front of your house, back in, just small things will add up like that. And then oftentimes when you find yourself, at the end of your driveway or where you live, you'll start walking and you'll actually do a little bit longer. So I personally have been using these approaches for several years now. I think it's made a pretty significant impact on my health, my weight management, and my creative output. No longer really worry about being overweight or unhealthy. I find that I can generate creative ideas a little bit faster, especially while doing it outside. I feel like there's like a health component to being outside. No data on that. I'm sure there is some, but I just don't know it. But remember, you can even walk even if you don't feel like it. Don't let excuses about the weather or environment hold you back. I think you should try reframing walking as a game, clearly define its purpose, and you can transform it from a pretty mundane task to something that's a little bit more transformative. So give walking a try. It is literally free, costs you nothing, and I think you might be surprised how much it can change your life. So moving forward, I will still maintain a minimum of 8,000 steps per day, but weekly average of 70,000, so still 10,000 per day. Gonna make sure it's a daily part of my life without rushing through it. I think so far walking's made a pretty significant impact on my well-being, and I encourage you to do it too. But just make sure to slow down and savor each step. That was super cliche and cringy. Thank you for watching the video. Catch you in the next one.